YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary ice spy on here. We're not at Gale Crater on Mars, we are now looking at Victoria Crater, which is thousands of miles away to the west of Gale Crater and to the north a bit as well. So it's kind of west-northwest, I think it is. And it's much smaller than the Gale Crater. And these images were taken by the Opportunity rover, which has just passed a milestone on Mars, which is basically, it's been there for just over 5,000 days now. And it's been trundling along very slowly around these various craters, like Endeavour and Victoria, and been taking images looking down into the crater and of the much more barren landscape that we have at this part of Mars. I do actually have a map showing where the rovers are. And here it is. Here's the original Viking lander, which was back in I think about 77 it got there. Viking 2, Pathfinder was after that, and then Spirit and Opportunity, and then Curiosity. So it's almost due west actually. It's not west-northwest at all. West-northwest would be up here. So yeah, it's due west of the Curiosity rover in Gale Crater. And right across there, which is thousands of miles away. I don't know exactly, I can't remember now. So that gives you a rough idea of how far apart these are, but they are both kind of near the equator. So a bit warmer here, not much, but a bit warmer than other parts of Mars. So that's the map of the rovers, and of course there will be new rovers there within a couple of years, and I'm not sure if they've decided where to land them yet, but they may go for the Morse Vallis region, which is I think along here, somewhere here, that kind of line. There's some crazy stuff in there. I hope they do go there, but we shall see. It would be nice actually if one of the new rovers went in Gale Crater, because then we would get some high quality images of the things that we've already seen, instead of the sort of rather blurry, out of focus rubbish that we normally get. So that would be nice. I've got this image here, which is the edge of Victoria Crater, and there's also this one showing it from above. This is from the Mars exploration. No, it's not from that mission. This is from the HiRISE, which is basically the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to this. So that's quite a high quality image. But unfortunately, the structures that I'm about to show you do not show up in this for some reason. Reason being, I think this image has been doctored. The area around the crater seems to be featureless, whereas actually in the ground images we're looking at, it's not featureless. So either the ground images are fake, or this one is, or at least partly, where they've actually got some of the data and then scrubbed it out. Now they do this a lot with Mars images and Moon images, which is very, very annoying if you're doing any research. There's also this image, which is pretty cool, a black and white image taken by the MRO, and you can see a bit more detail in there, but I'm not sure it's in there either. There's this image here, which is doctored. It's a nice image. I'll link to all of these things for you, and of course I'd like to give credit to Neville Thompson before we get anywhere for doing these clips here of the structures in question, and I'll show you more on that in a second. Right, so before we go any further, let's look at this image here. I don't know why that's gone so big. Why has that gone so big? There we are. We have a lot of stuff posted on my Facebook group here, which is called ArtAlienTV Mars Magazine. So if you're not a member, please come along and join up and keep up to date with stuff. Any new finds will be on here first, and articles about space and pyramids, that kind of thing as well, ancient alien type stuff. So do come along. It's totally free. Now, this was brought to my attention recently, just the other day, by Vladimir Vladimirov, good researcher from Russia. And of course, I'd seen these images years ago when they came out. There was a big kind of thing about them back in 2007-8, when people noticed these images, they put them all over the internet. Of course, I wasn't even on the internet then, I don't think. But I did build websites not long after that and started putting things up like this on my websites. And like ArtAlienTV .space, ArtAlien.space was my original website. And there's lots of stuff like this on there. And basically, what we have here is what looks like a line of vehicles or buildings going along the edge of this crater in a long straight line here. He's done some clips here, I'll just show you them quickly. Some comparative images of some jet aircraft and some aircraft hangars along the edge of a runway. Okay, very interesting. And there's a clip here showing relative distances. They're not all exactly the same, but they're very similar distances apart, which means they're probably in a long parallel line or something like that, but we're not seeing them side on. We're seeing these at an angle, so they're not all the same exactly. And some of them are slightly bigger as well. Now, I've gone right into this image and zoomed right in, and I've done some clips for you to see, and I'm going to quickly go through some of these clips on here and show you. The brighter image is the one to go for, so if you're going to download the images, the brighter ones are better, okay, because this is more to see. Here's a rotated version of that image. It's not been enhanced in any way, and we have a long line of these what look like buildings here. Now they all start off about the same sort of size and distance, and then they get more complex, and there's three there, there's another one there, there's a white object here, there's another few here, there's a couple there, and some look like they're behind each other, like here, and there's another white object here, another white object here. So there's a bit more going on here than initially meets the eye. There's another very bright thing here and here. So the question is, are these intelligent? Yes, I think they are, because well, let me show you a close-up. I'll go into here, into my graphics processor here, because when you see up close what I've done, I've got a higher quality, higher res image of the area, and I've taken some clips here, okay, and these are full color images and show more detail than the black and white lower res images. And the image to download for that is this one, which is Sol 1074/75 actually, and you just download this. This is only a couple of megabytes, and we have along the top of this image here on the top right a whole line of structures. Okay, so that's the one to download. Here it is, and you can just see that line of dots along there. Okay, at the top. Let's zoom in. There we have it. Now, how far these actually carry on, I don't know, because they probably carry on much further to the right. But of course, the camera has only gone that far around, so these could go on for a mile or half a mile, 2 miles. Who knows? Don't know. So there's the image to look at in color, but it's a bit foggy, and the thing to do is to color correct it. To get rid of that brown filter. Okay, so here we have it. Let's look at this one first, because now this one is taken over further over to the right, and now some of these actually look like vehicles. Some of them look like buildings and some look like vehicles, but of course they're quite small and they're quite a long way away. I don't know exactly how far these are away, but let's go through right to left. These are intelligent structures. They're not random. These are square, a lot of them. A square, rectangular, so it's like two rectangles together there, and here. That square, almost perfectly square, and a smaller structure either side of it. That one's slightly further away. There's a white blob-looking object there that could be a vehicle, could be a building, don't know. These are quite hard to actually focus on, because obviously the camera is only a 1 meg camera, and we're zooming into the background. So what I'll do, I will take some smaller clips of these as well and sharpen these up a bit. This has already been enhanced here. What I've done is I color corrected it, and that makes it go bluer and easier to look at, and I've increased the contrast, and that's all I've done. Okay, I haven't done anything else. Let's move that one out of the way. I'll show you the black and white one, because actually you can see in the black and white clip I've taken here other details that aren't as obvious in the colour one, because sometimes the colours actually destroy a bit of detail. This actually has been enhanced slightly, brightened, and had the contrast increased, and you can actually see a little bit more detail here. You can see that there's like a little tower sticking up there. There's another one in the background, and another structure there. You can't tell what these are exactly until you get to some of these over here. There's a rectangular one here. There's another structure here which is kind of dome shaped. There's another white object there. There's a long flat structure here. There's another little one. There's a very bright one here, and what looks to be, I'm not saying it is because I can't tell for sure, a truck parked in front of it with the wheels here, front and back of the truck, front of the truck. It's even got a reflection on the top of the roof here and the bonnet. Is that a truck? A vehicle? I mean, this is absolutely incredible. I've never actually zoomed into this image properly and enhanced the contrast and looked at it properly before. I've kind of looked at it on, you know, the basic clips of it, but I've never actually gone in close and really looked at the image properly. And it's quite astonishing when you do. Let me zoom out and give you a reference point to look for. You've got this kind of U shape here in the rock on the edge of Victoria Crater. Straight above there is what looks like a truck, and another truck here. See it? It seems to have wheels. Now either that or it's a structure with something obscuring some of the detail in front of it. But isn't it funny how it looks like a silhouette of a truck with the reflection on the front and top here? There's another structure here, another one here. This could also be a truck with the back sticking out but facing away from us slightly. Who knows? Could be a building with another smaller building in front of it. It looks like a building here with a rectangular part sticking up here. Is this another building, or is that a truck? Can't really say. Not enough detail to tell on that. But this bit I was actually quite shocked by when I looked at this up close, because it really does look like a truck. And of course, if in desert conditions like we have on Mars, which are very bright, you get, you know, if there's a gap underneath an object like a truck, the light will reflect underneath it and kind of bounce up underneath it, and you get a slight distortion of the shape because the wheels are quite narrow. They will look almost like points rather than round wheels. They look almost like sticks pointing down or something like that, because of the way that the light reacts and reflects off the ground, making them sort of look smaller or less prominent, if you know what I mean. So there we have that. I mean, I was really quite astonished by that. And over here we've got multiple structures, like a dome there and another building and a smaller building, another white object. Can't really, without much shadow to it. These white objects are really odd. It's almost like they're sort of temporary. Could they be temporary buildings or small vehicles? I don't know. I'm speculating here, of course. There's not quite enough detail to be sure exactly what these are, but they certainly look like intelligent objects by the way they're spaced. And some of them are very square. You've got this one here which looks very straight, and some of them are very faint. It's almost like they've been ghosted out slightly, but a lot of that I think is down to the light conditions, the very flat ground, reflective ground, the low res camera, which hasn't focused on these at all, it's focusing on the foreground, it's focusing here, if it's focusing anywhere. And so they're out of focus, they're quite a long way off. I'd say these are half a mile away or somewhere between, I don't know. From the crater here, it's very hard to say. A quarter of a mile, or less, I'd say, probably. Less than a quarter of a mile. Who knows? Who knows for sure? But some of them look very rectangular, like this one, and have a rectangular structure in front. See that? So the black and white images kind of gives you more in some ways, because you're not getting the interference of the colours clouding your judgment. And there's a double structure here. I don't know if you can see that. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go back to let's go back to the colour one, because let's see if we can spot the same things again and see if they look any different in the colour image. Let's try this one, because this shows the structures towards the right. And when you zoom into this, now I've done some basic enhancements on this already, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the sharpen tool to sharpen each one and see if we can drag out more detail, okay, from each one as we go along. Now, some of this is probably image distortion, like in the black and white image, but you can see what looks like a square part to it here, and I'm just going to sharpen it and see what happens. Sorry, that's the wrong. I'm going to press the other button, because that will really bring the structure out, so you can just see it in the video better. Because the videos get compressed by YouTube and they lose definition. So I'm going to go along and sharpen each one up. You can clearly see a square there and a rectangle. I mean, there's no possible way. And here, that's got a smaller one, so you don't often see the actual detail until you process it. Okay, you see, this is nuts, absolutely nuts. And there's this one, which has a real symmetrical shape. I really don't see how that can be just a rock. There's another smaller one in front of it, and you've got these faint structures in the background. So it's almost like there's another whole row of buildings further back. Pardon me. And these are just the ones we can see. And there's like another half a mile away, perhaps. There's or quarter of a mile away. There's another row of buildings behind. So it looks like a row of two rows of parallel structures, if you see what I'm saying. That's perfectly rectangular, with a reflection on top, as is this one. Not much to see there, but this one has something in front of it, and it's got something more going on top there. It kind of goes up stepped like that. So they're not all the same. But could these be trucks and cars? Could this reflection underneath here, could that actually be the sun coming underneath a car or truck? And these points at either end could be wheels. And this reflective thing on top could be the cabin of a car or a truck. You've got this bright reflection off the top of it here. Interesting, really interesting. When you start to work out what you're looking at here, I mean, the sharpen tool basically just brings out the edges of things. This could be a truck. It's almost like you got two faint wheels there. Here we got more smaller structures. Some of these just may be rocks, of course. And we got what looks like another possible vehicle with a lower part at the front. Is that a wheel coming out there? Like just here where... Ooh, wow. Oh my god. That's insane. Absolutely insane. I'm actually quite shocked, because I thought I'd just try this as an exercise during the video rather than doing it beforehand, just to show you what happens when you hand sharpen stuff. Of course, there is distortion in these images because they're quite poor quality and out of focus. But you can gain some. See, there's a reflection off the back of that, a brighter part there, and it goes up like a roof, like a car, and then you've got what looks like a wheel structure here and there, and the light's kind of coming underneath it, rather than something being in front of it there. That's just astonishing. And this one here has the same. It's got more of a shadow underneath it, this thing. It seems to have wheels at either end, with more of a sort of dome shape. Unreal. Unreal. And it's got like a bluish hue coming out there. Has this one got more of a structure on top? Not sure about this one. Could that be a truck, or could it be a building? It looks more like a building. This one seems to have a round thing here, like a wheel. It almost looks like a half track or something, it's got like a wheel and then sort of long tracks, like a half track, military half track. And it seems to have something up here, further up. Insane, absolutely insane. I'm actually gobsmacked. I didn't think this would reveal much. I just thought, let's just try sharpening. I've done that for a while. I used to do it a lot more in my videos, but actually it's quite, if you're careful with it, it's actually quite a good technique, because it gives you a little bit more to look at when the images are very blurry. There's a kind of round structure here. This is just nuts. And there's that blob, that white thing, which looks symmetrical, which actually looks like a tent or some kind of structure. That is insane. There was another object closer up here as well, which has got like another part to it. It's got like a round blob shape, like a circular shape, but with a square part on top of that. Could that be a small vehicle or something? Absolutely nuts. So yeah, wow. I'm actually quite gobsmacked about that. I'm surprised how much came out there. Let's try it with this one, because this is further along and shows some of these whiter objects more, like these things in the well, not foreground, but the closer objects. So you got this one here. This is much further over to the right of the what looks like an aerodrome or whatever it is, or convoy. And some of these look actually like buildings. What we could be seeing here is a mixture of buildings and vehicles, because some of these things are sticking up there's like a little tower there in the distance, and you've got blatant, okay, I'll get closer and sharpen that up. You've got blatant rectangular structures here. Okay, these are fainter, look further away. There's a faint one here. There's some faint buildings on right on the horizon, which are probably another half or so miles away. Don't know. You've got this long structure here with a smaller bit to it here. It seems to be another one here. This one's cool because it's got like a white square just here, which is quite bright. Now these look more like structures rather than trucks or cars. And then you've got these white blobs. Now these two look like almost identical in size, which is rather odd. Why would that be? I mean, it's just silly. I mean, and this one looks pretty cool. This is also more got a white. It's like this one here. It's got a kind of white square. It's there. I'll sharpen that up a bit to make it stand out. Now, of course, if you push the sharpen tool too hard, you're just making the image break up, because it's a JPEG. Well, originally, it's from a sort of large but quite good quality JPEG, not a poor quality one. I mean, that's perfectly rectangular part there. You've got like a dome structure here, another white structure here with a shadow, and some faint structures behind, which are small, probably further back and smaller. Yeah, I mean, what the hell was that white thing? I mean, so it looks to me, judging by the shapes and shadows we have here, that we have what is a row of buildings, or 2 rows of buildings, one further back, one closer. I should say structures rather than buildings, because we can't say for sure, but they do look like buildings, and some of them further over to the other side that I showed you earlier look like vehicles. These could be vehicles here. They've got that sort of weird reflection, as if they got like a little roof on the front. I mean, a roof of the cabin, and then a shinier bit at the front there, almost like there's a bonnet there, or the front of a car or truck or something. So hard to say with some of these. Some of these are pretty faint and further back and blurred, even more blurred, because obviously the camera's not in focus. But you can determine, if you're really careful, add a bit of contrast, colour correct it, or even work straight from the black and white image. Let's try sharpening that, because I actually think in some ways this is slightly better, because you've got pure light and shadow here, and that doesn't confuse your eyes so much. This is the bit that looks like a truck here, and one here. Let's sharpen that and see what happens. It's got, let me just change the size of that brush a minute. I'm just going to draw around it for you, just to illustrate the point a bit more. Is that a wheel there? So let's just redo that. Sorry, I don't usually do this in my videos. I'm just trying to illustrate the point. Wheel. Wheel. Bottom of the chassis there. Front. Reflective bonnet here. Goes up like that, and then it kind of comes down here. We've got a darker part here. That looks to me, I mean, that's really crude. I do apologise about that, but I got on with the settings wrong on the brush there. I don't really use the brush or a pen tool or whatever it is. So I don't ever use that. It's just nonsense, really. But there we have it. I mean, is it? I mean, if only the camera was focused on these objects. But you've got some pretty good detail here, even though it's blurred. You can sharpen these up. You can determine that there's something here that is straight, and there's something sticking up here. That's not a vehicle. That's some kind of structure. There's some fainter ones here. Can't see a lot there. There's another white one here, like a little dome or tent. So yeah, I recommend you download these and try this yourself. You should get the same results. I've really not done much to these, apart from add a bit of contrast and brightness. And all I'm doing now is going over it with a sharpened brush, which is on quite a low setting. Hardness, yeah, I mean it's on 50, depth 25, yeah. So you don't want it on a high setting, you just want a low setting. Now, there's this weird structure here with like a cross-shaped shadow in there. I mean, this is starting to break up, this image, as you sharpen it. So things like crosses will keep appearing, because that's where the pixels are joined. Okay, but that's interesting. You've got something going up further back and further away here. You got that little group of what look like structures here, 3 structures together, with another one of those white structures further forward. I mean, this is pretty crazy, absolutely insane. You got another what looks like a distant structure there, further back. These are very vague and not very reflective, but they're nonetheless are rectangular in shape. Here's a sort of more random looking one that may be just a rock, or who knows. We've got these 3 here, which are approximately the same size, but look a little bit more complex than just rectangles. They seem slightly more rounded, and these could be vehicles. Who knows? So I really think what we're looking at here is a mixture, these aren't very bright, a mixture of buildings and vehicles. Now whether these vehicles are trucks or cars or tanks or possibly there could even be aircraft here, but they're probably, who knows? Who knows? It may well be a mixture of all of the above. Okay, so I'll take some closer up clips of some of this, and I mean these were really convincing, these ones at this end, because they were very rectangular. That doesn't look like a truck, that looks much more like a structure, an intelligent structure, like a bunker or a hangar or some type of building. There's no one there. And some more faint structures behind. So what we're looking at is possibly an airfield or something like that. I don't know. An airfield with a few trucks parked here and there, and some smaller outbuildings like we got here. They've got a row of these blobs here. Some of them are very bright here, like this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another one. There's another one there. So after just sharpening up a little bit, you've got a bit more definition here, and you can see these a little bit more clearly from a distance now. You get the distance right. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day because this video has been going too long and my voice is starting to crack up and go as usual. So credit to Vladimir for reminding me about these images. Been a long time since I've seen these. And also credit to Neville Thompson for his work here, where he's done a nice diagram showing the distance between them and a close-up and an aerial shot here showing it. Really nice work. As usual, he does awesome work. The godfather of the gigapans, Neville Thompson. So credit to him also. I will put a link to his page here, and I'll put a link to Vladimir's post here, which was on my page, ArtAlienTV Mars magazine. So you can link to that and join up if you like. And you can post articles here if you want, as long as it's to do with space stuff, then it's fine. Or ancient alien stuff, anything like that's cool. It's not a UFO page, we don't really deal with that. It's mainly structures and statues and the things like that we want to see on our near planets. And it did kind of remind me of this convoy photograph here. This is taken in North Africa, World War II. I think this is a British convoy, can't really tell. Some of you would know these vehicles. And what you've got are some smaller square buildings here, which are much more bright, reflective, and often they're like a double building, like we got there, with a smaller bit and a larger bit. And then you have vehicles, some of them abandoned, which are smaller and larger. Some are kind of almost rectangular, like these trucks. And then you have lower like jeeps and cars, and they're not all the same. And some of the trucks are uncovered and they have the tarp pulled back. Some of them are covered up. I'll see if I can find some more comparative images of convoys, because there's got to be some more here somewhere. But yeah, you've got these kind of random structures here. This is like a battlefield where you've got knocked out vehicles, half destroyed, and some of them are kind of just like squares or rectangles. They don't really look like vehicles, because you can't necessarily see the wheels, because they're depending on the angle. But of course, when you look at, in a desert area, when you look at vehicles from a distance, you can often see underneath them. And but if I was to show you that from a distance and blur it out, you would basically see not round wheels, but kind of rectangular or square wheels. They look square. They don't look round from a distance. You can't make out that much detail. They tend to square off, especially in a JPEG image. So I'll see if I can find some more convoy kind of photos and see if there's any that are more like that. There's bound to be, but I'm not going to do it now, because I've already taken too long. So there we have it. Links will be to all these images. We've got Victoria Crater from above here. We've got this one here, which is pretty cool. There's that one. Yeah, okay. We've got this one, which is the best one to work with, really, because you can enhance this quite a lot without it breaking up too much, because there's quite a lot of pixels in here. So it's quite high resolution. So that's worth looking at. So there we have it. Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. And Neville T did this image a while, 2012 we done this. Could we actually be looking at structures left over from what was perhaps some kind of tunnel or transport system? Could it? Could it have been some military base? Could it have been a space base? An alien space base? Or are they more recent structures? Are these really old? Impossible to say, of course. They're probably millions of years old. But they may not be. They may have been active very recently. Perhaps that's why the opportunity went to that area, to check them out, and we never got to see the close-up images. It could have taken loads of close-ups of these structures that we've never seen. Who knows? They could have easily withheld the images, and we're just seeing the basic kind of blurry images of the area. But yeah, it really does look like an aerodrome or something similar, with a few vehicles parked in a line and a whole bunch of buildings as well. So there we have it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please share it on social media and give the thumbs up if you can. I will see you soon.